Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll get into it. So this conversation is kind of divided into three parts. We're talking about just the content, the idea of photography as a career. Then we go on to the monetization of it, then growth, how to grow as a photographer, and then the future of creators as photographers. So first question is for everyone. What has your experience been choosing photography as a career and operating in Nigeria? So I know that everybody here on this panel is international. So if you are looking to be international, this is the place you should be. But I know that you started in Nigeria. So what was that like? Especially for those that were called to bar.
Okay. Well, what can I say? Photography for me has really grown. I mean, I started photography from when we used to go to the dark room, to process film, and print, and before we started talking about even, the digital camera and things like that. So, yeah, but one thing is for sure, we will always have the need for imagery. But what has happened with the digital age is that need sort of multiplied really fast. So all of a sudden, everybody really wanted to get good photographs. And what that has done is that, of course, when there is demand, a rising demand, the price will rise. Value for photography also rose. So through those several decades, I observed a phenomenal rise, and I don't think it's going to slow down. It's going to be more and more. Yeah.
Okay, Annie?
So what the
question? Your experience.
My experience.
Choosing photography as a career and operating in Nigeria.
Okay. I think it's. Did this work here? Okay, yeah. So I think it's been good. It's been good. I've been privileged to have, will I say, community, a circle of people that quickly, basically raised me up, especially career-wise, and with the business of photography and how it is. If your stuff is good, it's easy for people to talk about it, and if your people are really good people and really care about you, they basically, help your career grow. So I would say it's been great because of people around me. It's been great because it has kept rising. But aside the people, Nigeria as a place, I think I'm grateful for Lagos. I think Lagos is the only place that values photography up to where we can sustain and where we can make a proper living, as we are today. I don't think there's any other states or any other place in Nigeria that has risen up to that level. So Lagos has been a good ground. There definitely can be a lot more that can be achieved. We don't need to go to that. We know what that means, But in general, it has been a great journey so far.
Okay, Bernard.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. For me, it's been quite a journey, especially because the way photography started for me was almost abrupt. Like it wasn't what I intended to do initially, but eventually I found myself doing photography, and for the kind of photographer to be able to earn from it, it's something I consider, like you mentioned, a privilege, and and also the bubble that Lagos is, like the kind of value we demand here is not the same in other states. So it's one of the things I'm grateful for as well, and the privilege as well to have your work or my work recognized from outside the shores, to be able to go on assignments for NGOs, whether it's organizations. I think it's something that. But one thing to note is that it took time. It's been a journey, like I mentioned.
There are three things that stand out for me. Recognizing opportunities, because Mr. Kelechi said that he noticed that it was growing and then he plugged into it. So I know sometimes when people say things like everybody's in photography. I remember when I started as well, they were like everybody's buying DSLR, but not everybody is where they are now. You get, and then one thing that Annie said was community as well, and that's why we have spaces like this to build community. Because if you don't have people that push out your work, you feel like you're alone, especially with the creative industry in general. And then, like, I think I'm going to touch on your point, choosing photography genres that are very different from the norm.
Yeah.
So I think it goes on to my next question, and I'm directing this question to you, Annie, because I know that you've shot like weddings, right, couples, more like portraits. So I was going to ask, how do you develop your brand and reputation? And I'm asking with regards to, you know how there are all these men at weddings or women, and they're like, auntie, let me snap you, and they just print everything and they bring it out. Those guys have been taking pictures since our parents got married, but they are still doing that. Do you get? And then there's you, and then you're doing this, and you're here. What is the difference?
I think people have to. I think you have to sit down. There's a lot of things you can do in photography. A lot of genre, as you said before. I think you have to. It's good to find a niche. Place value in that niche, and basically grow. I think it's great for people to, if they mention food, photography, they know who they're thinking about, and it's popping up. Do you understand? If they mention editorial fashion, they know who is coming up. Do you understand? If they mention documentary, do you understand? So I think you need to, in your career, in just general, your art form, whatever it is, needs to stand out. You need to make a name for yourself in that particular, and that's what I try to do. There's a lot of things I say no to. I keep telling people I'm going to say no to things I know I am not great at. You call me to photograph a child, I'm going to turn it down immediately, because just like, so whatever I'm not great at, it's not something I want to try, no matter what the money you're giving me. You understand? Because by the time you take that money, your name is placed to that work. So I think that's what I really sat down to make sure that this is going to be my niche. And I think that allowed for growth. People are seeing, because it's what I do is mostly portrait. And portrait with as far as I shoot with models, I also shoot with a lot of normal people. And there's that thing where by the time they see a normal person do a photo shoot and they see the possibility, people can relate. Do you understand? They say, oh, this is my friend, this person did this, I can also do it. It's also an aspiration thing. It's also, do you understand? So those bits now lead to growth, or for the fact that you can do this for this, you can also do it for this, and it's a lot of responsibility. But as far as you show yourself from time to time that you can do it, definitely is going to develop to growth, to proper growth.
Okay. So this question is for Bernard. How do you find your story and your voice? Like your genre is different from everyone here. And oftentimes people run away from that because they feel like it doesn't necessarily make as much money. But then there's a lot of stories that you can tell with that genre. So how do you find that story? How do you find that voice?
So there's something there's a line that I got a hold of when I was younger. That line goes thus: that to go far outward, you have to journey inward. So a lot of self-awareness is required. You need to, like you mentioned, like the reason why you have that disparity between those doing the wait and get, that's what we call them, and those like he that's doing, like he's a professional photographer. I think the difference is literally people sitting down to design what they want, like question, like what do I want out of life? I can use the camera, what do I want to do? You get? So because the issue, especially in this generation we have, is a lot of people they're very surface. They're just like, oh, it's money. So the easy thing is, oh, let me just go and and get these pictures. But how you can't get a lot. I mean, draws are not on the surface; they are deep down. They're deep down in the ground. So I had to take that time to have a sort of self-reflection. And this thing wasn't done in a week. Like,
Yeah.
I was already doing photography. I mean, I shot events. I had, community is important. I second shot for a lot of people. I mean, it's an honor to be sitting with Kelechi Amadi on the same. When you want to do something, you Google people, like, you see the Tiwa Bellows, Kelechi Amadi, like. So I definitely knew that there was no way Kelechi became Kelechi or Kelechi became Kelechi by just because he had a camera or because he knew how to use the camera. There was more to it.
Yeah.
So that self-reflection is important. I had to question myself, like, what are the things that, what do I connect with? And when you shift your mindset from trying to just make a living or trying to make a giving, because that's literally what gifts are for. It's gifts. You're to give it, not. But many of us we've missed that whole plot and we just think, how much can you pay? I need to make. I have a gift. It's my talent. No, it's a gift. So when you think impact first, it helps.
Yeah.
Because every other thing falls in place eventually. Yeah.
Okay. So this question is for you, Mr. Kelechi. Talk to me about the place of print and other medias of photography expression in today's world.
Well, I mean, nice question. Thank you. Deliverables that you will have to give to your clients. I mean, looking at prints we call it a physical thing that you're going to give to somebody that they will exchange for money. Now, there is the world of limited edition prints, and that is the photographic work as a piece of art that has a specific value, and just like we know, the more there is scarcity, the higher the value that is placed, and the higher the demand, also the same thing. Now, that is one area, the fine art prints or the print as a limited edition print that we really need to develop. As we speak, I'm having an exhibition right now of a set of prints, limited edition prints. And I noticed that in Nigeria, it has not become commonplace for people to know that, look, if you pick up a print today that you bought for, let's say, 500,000, provided it's a limited edition print from a reputable artist, it is the same as buying a painting. The value will appreciate. But that value will appreciate if the industry builds trust. So if I'm selling a limited edition of 5, and I finish with that edition, people have bought all 5 of them. If you like, bring $1 billion, you're not going to get another copy of that. What that does is that it ensures the value of, and it builds trust in the industry. So that is just one area where photographers can make an inflow of income. Okay, so work that you've done, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's deliberately done. Maybe it's part of reportage that you did. Maybe it's part of editorial that you shot. Later in life, that can become something. If you get what I mean. If you arrange it and you want to sell it as a limited edition print. Of course, the other side is where you're making prints for clients to hang on their wall, which is more like maybe do somebody's portrait, and that's a different also area where people can make money. But the area that I'm looking at, I think we need to develop, is for the entire industry to understand the power of the limited edition print and how it can turn into a mega industry. It's like that in other parts of the world.
Definitely.
I think it's just starting in Nigeria, and it's just to lay the groundwork of building trust between the photographers and the collectors.
No, thank you. Okay, my next question. How important are gadgets? Will not having a particular gadget affect one's growth? I know that there can be a craze as to you're using Sony, you're using Canon, you're using Nikon and everything. And so people are like, I can't shoot because I don't have a specific gadget. But I've always seen that, I think I remember when I was in university, I shot something and they said, what camera did you use? And I felt offended. I'm like, I thought about the idea before I shot the thing. Do you understand? And even if I give you that camera, you will not shoot like that. So I want to know, the role of gadgets. But I also think that there's a place as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk to me.
For gadgets, I think I speak to my interns a lot of time about the place of gadget. It's very simple. It is important.
Yeah.
Gear is important.
Yeah.
The more technology grows, the better the gear, and the better it is for the person. But you have to divide it into two parts before you think about how expensive this gear is or how great a gear is. I think the first thing you need to do is first get the principles. You need to get your principles, right? You need to know your angles, you need to train your eye. There are a lot of groundworks to have at hand before you move ahead. If you give a toddler a Mercedes Benz, there's nothing he's going to do with it and scratch it all. Do you understand? So you need to basically grow yourself, whatever it is, and you need to grow skill. You need to grow and it takes a while. And it takes a while. Our phones right now are incredible.
Of course.
Kelechi's phone right now is better than the camera he used when he started.
Absolutely.
I'm not lying.
Absolutely. The truth is that there is a conspiracy. But it's good. It's good for business. We don't want to sell equipment. But let's not also underestimate the amount of effort that these people put into their gadgets. They make it more convenient. And they're constantly watching photographers, finding areas where they need a little help. People like me that wear glasses. I mean, if I take my glasses out, I can't make any sharp picture if I'm doing manual focus. Just forget it. So the autofocus on the camera has helped people like me a lot. I remember my days of shooting with my RB67 Mamiya. These cameras don't have batteries, man. So when I'm focusing, just forget it. If you're shooting an event, it's already gone. The thing has, they finished, So we have to give kudos for that, But what has happened now is that really at the level of the basics of what you need to make a good image, all the cameras are far gone. They are far gone. They've put so much technology in there that really, what you need to concentrate on is to train your eye. And then understanding the technicalities, I always tell the young photographers, that is just when letter A, when you're learning alphabet. That's letter A. You need to know how the camera works and everything at your fingertips. You need to think about it. But the major thing that then differentiates you is your mind, what you're thinking about, and what you're saying with the photograph. And that is even sometimes far beyond photography. It has so much more to do with how intelligent you are, what you know, what you've read, and things like that. How deep you're thinking about life. And that is what machines can never replace.
Absolutely.
Actually connect a lot with what Kelechi said, because the truth is, this conversation will always be a conversation that will happen in the community, where gears matter, gears don't matter. And it's gears matter and they don't. Because like you mentioned, it's stories that sell. You understand? And for instance, someone that writes on a book, from book they move to typewriter, from typewriter to the computer. But the actual commodity is not the gadget, it's the content you get. So if you lay so much emphasis on that, if you're there's gas, this is the wear or the latest thing, you cut yourself short, because when you always look you need to focus and try what are you trying to say before you start thinking about what device or what gadget am I using to amplify the story.
And there is one more thing. This thing happens to a lot of beginners where they depend so much on the technology that they lose themselves. And then what happens? Anybody who can afford to buy that machine will make work that just looks as good as yours. And there is no differentiating factor. When they bring out a new one, you have to buy it again. And then, start thinking of how that machine will look sharper than the old machine. You know, totally ignoring self. You know, and that is also the dilemma of the kwa photographer.
Next question.
Okay, so my next question would be, how should the photographer in Nigeria think about growth? How should we think about growth as photographers in Nigeria specifically? Because before you get there, it starts here.
You know, the truth is that all through my career as a photographer, there's something I do. I like to decide on where I am first. So I always advise photographers. Some people say, oh, I want to be an intern. I want to learn from you. So I will ask, so where are you now? You say, what do you mean? You mean like, I'm in your office? I say, no. I mean, how do you define where you are as a photographer? Where you are creatively, where you are in terms of clientele, where you are in terms of remuneration, where you are in terms of, you know, notoriety. Now you need to analyze all these things, understand where you are, and then say, okay, this is where I want to go. And then ask yourself, between where I am and where I want to go, what is involved? You understand? You know, because there are some people that say, you know, I'm pretty okay with where I am creatively, so I don't want to do anything more creative. Thank you very much. I just want to make money. So I'm just going to put all my time in advertising, and I'll be on TikTok and all these things, make a hell of noise, look good, and speak good English. You know, there are people who would do that. You get what I mean? So for me, growth is something that you cannot afford not to. You asked a very intelligent question earlier when you said, what is the difference between this young man here and this other chap who has been shooting 5 naira per copy for 30 years? Because they say, oh, you know, this thing takes time. It's not just time. Because you can be in a tunnel doing the same thing over and over again and still not get anywhere. And it is just the same thing. It's like the ship. It needs to have a destination. The captain must have a compass to know how to get to that destination. Otherwise, you can walk for all your life in the sea and die at sea and never get to any port. Nobody will doubt that you worked very hard in your life. But you needed to pinpoint where you are and the longitude and latitude, which is what I'm saying, and decide where you're going to and how you're going to get there. And for me, it is not an option to stay in one place. You may think you're staying in one place, but maybe you're going back. If everybody is going forward,
You stay in one place.
maybe you're not in one place. Maybe everybody is in one place, but you're going back. Anyway.
I like what you said. It's making me understand photography as a business. You know how when people are doing like their Q1, Q2, Q3, you don't think that photographers should have that, you know, but you should have that.
It's a
you
business.
Know, look at your income, your profit. Because there's some people that have shot all their aunties and uncles and they've not made any money. Do you get like, but you're the family photographer. And that was me at a point until I started charging my aunties and uncles. We
always start like that.
Do you get? But it's important, but they also need to see you as a business as well. You know, even sometimes my siblings will say, can I use your camera? I'll say, you rent it. You know, and that's because I see it as this is my tool. And if something happens to it, I need to be able to fix my tool or, you know, insure my tool. So I really like, you know, that point. And then you raised the point, and I'll just talk about it. You said photographers dancing on TikTok. You know that now, literally, it's like, Instagram is saying you must be a creator for your content to go out. Before, literally, like you take a nice picture and then you can go viral. But now, literally, they're saying you must be a video. If it's not a video, we'll not even see you in the algorithm. So, where is the thin line? I'm doing photography. I don't want to create content, and then I need my content to also go out so that more people can see what I'm doing.
So right now we are in, I call it the battle between the creator and the algorithm, and that's where we are because this giants, these big companies, own the main marketing tools which we use. We do have, it's either we conform to the needs of the platform, or we find other ways. Do you understand? You have to, there are other ways. There's no way that that's the only way. Do you understand? If everything, like I think one thing that made me change my eyes about the whole thing was the pandemic, how the pandemic came, and it just made us know that nothing is by force. The Olympic came and it did not happen. Like nothing is that important. Do you understand? Nothing is a must do. Do you understand? Everything came to a whole stop. So you have to know that it's not the end of the world. If you, do you understand? You have to think hard and find another route. Find a way to do it. That's all I have been working on since everything started. I think what I did when the algorithm became so complex, I employed someone for that. I'm like, all right, just take this. I've not handled my social media since February. I was done. I was personally done. I stopped even posting. Nobody saw me for the whole of January. I was done. I probably lost a lot of people, but I was done because I can't I can't fight this.
No, it's a very interesting. I like the way you put it. The creators and the algorithm. I mean, you have to be extremely careful while following the algorithm. They may not share the same goal as you do. The social media and the internet is not there to entertain you. It is there to distract you. That's what I have found. And the more people are distracted, the more money they make. So if you create material that is not distracting people, it's not important for them. The machine has been told, if you're talking about education and saying how to speaking English, thank you very much, bye. So I notice on my Instagram, maybe once in a while something will happen and somebody will use a video and catch me having fun, maybe dancing with somebody.
And that's the one.
1 million views.
That's the one.
Like, go viral. Linda Cage will not carry it and put. So I looked at it and said, thank you very much. So I will now drop my camera and be dancing.
Actually, I like how I've never even thought about creator versus algorithm. So we have a situation where when people don't have a clearly defined path they follow, their message gets distorted. Because you're okay, fine. Let's even look at it this way. Okay, you're trying to get attention. So why when you get the attention, what do you eat for it? What do you lose at the expense of that attention? Because you get the attention, what's not the problem? What did you give? Exactly, what did you give? What did it cost you? So that's the thing. So at all points, we have your rundown, your anchor has to be set straight. Or when you're going to has to be set straight. Then if maybe by chance whatever algorithm or whatever thing they bring works for you, you go that path. It doesn't work for you. Like you said, there's no one way.
But it's important for us to note. I mean, people are always looking at how many likes, how many, the engagement or whatever. But I've also found out that, you may have 1 million followers who are on your page. They may, depending on what you're putting there, their mindset when they come to your page is to remove their brain and just enjoy senselessly whatever entertainment you have provided. I don't know if you get that. Then you may have maybe 100 people who you will not wait for the algorithm to show them your page. They go to your page and they start looking. They are thinking, they are researching, they are making financial decisions based on that page. Now, if you overload your page with senseless distractions and entertainment, these just 100 people out of your 1 million will leave. They will never come back to your page. There are some clients who would meet me and say, Kelechi, oh, you're back in town. I say,
I never left.
I say, but I'm following you on Instagram. You posted that you're in South Africa. I didn't know you were back.
Not real time.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, that individual, that one guy, is equivalent of 2 million followers. The business that one guy had given me in a year took care of all my clientele. That one guy that was following me on Instagram. I don't know if you get what I mean. So let people not be obsessed with numbers and algorithms. If your Instagram is your portfolio, please keep it clean. Keep it you. Let it attract the people you really want. And not, followers who just want to be entertained by the algorithm. It's very important.
I like that. So I think my next question would be, how can in quotation marks, struggling photographer take advantage of the gig economy? So things like taking remote jobs or hybrid roles. I know that there are offices that just hire photographers. I know that there are things like Fiverr where you can get like a gig here and there. So it's not necessarily like you or your business, but somebody else's business. I don't know. Do you think that you lose your authenticity doing those, or you think that So I've
never personally used any of them. It almost appears like automated photography. Like
yes.
Where people need, and there's a place for it. But I can't speak to it because it's not something I personally use. But I feel if one is just starting, by all means, you can attempt, you can try it. There's no. I think the challenge is when people especially young photographers, people just maybe you just look at an Annie Roberts, for instance. You see that Annie maybe shot one of the celebs, and all of a sudden, literally, that's just your drive. That's what you're waiting for. But Annie had to pass through a lot of stages before he could. So one thing a mentor of mine told me one time is, he said, your work is your weapon. So at all costs, make sure you're creating work. So don't be in a place where you're just there dreaming how I will. So having things like this gives you an opportunity to be working and still be getting some remuneration while your dream is still alive. So
I think it's also a good place to even find your own genre, like what you like. When you test a lot of things, you know that I can't do these events, or I like portraits, or I like that. Okay, and then now let's talk about the future. I think we touched on it a bit, but I'll bring us back. So in a world where mobile phones, AI, they are kind of like reducing the barrier to entry, because you see things like this person is an iPhone photographer. Like literally, that's what they are hired to do. What would be the place of professional photographers, and what new opportunities and challenges have these low barriers entry opened us up to? Because some people think that if I just get this phone, I'm good. And they actually do create good content with it. But then there's also professional photographers who you want to shoot your family portraits, your headshots for your business, for your startup, and all those things. Where is the place,
So I think there are a lot of people in this world, and I don't, for Lagos for instance, people keep saying there are a lot of photographers. I don't think there are a lot of photographers to service the number of people we have in Lagos as it is. I don't think there are no photographers for the number of people we have in Lagos here. So I it might cut you short. It might be when you start thinking scarcity that there are too many people. You might lose yourself. But on the other hand, I think storytelling is what sells. So the example I gave with the book, with the typewriter, as long as you know how to tell stories. So whatever medium, whether tomorrow they say it's VR we're doing, it's still that you already know the tenets of storytelling. You just change your medium. I don't know if it makes sense. So make sure whatever you're doing, you're not stuck in the device or the gadget, but you actually know the work, the story. So whatever the future brings, you'll be valid, your input will still be valid.
I think there's a space in the sky enough for everybody. I'm never worried about what's called something coming to replace or whatever it is. I'm never so worried about it because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Never. You can't stop. You can't stop a moving train. It is a moving train, and it's going to happen. So you have to care less about that bit and care more about how you're going to adapt, how you're changing your narrative to just that. What's your journey now? As this is starting.
Yeah.
And I think that's the basic thing for everybody to think about.
Yeah.
Whether you're on top, whether you're below.
Yeah.
I think you need to think realistically. Just that if you're using the phone and if an iPhone photographer, try and be the best at that stage you are.
Yeah.
When you know it's time for growth, because you will know when you're done.
Exactly.
We creators, we know. We get tired. And when you get tired, that is when it's telling you it's knocking, it's a cue that you need to do. It's the next step. It's the next thing. You understand? And that is always what you need to stay in key for, because if you're mindless about it and don't care and you're tired and you keep moving and just what he said, you're going to be in one spot. They're going to do
Like, I think
this.
like he's the perfect example of
A moving,
and through the decades and all.
Yeah.
The truth is that photography is a technology-based business. It is based on technology. Technology is dynamic, especially now. It's moving at a ridiculous speed. The world has found ways to collaborate with itself. So many brains are working together, and the progress is so fast. So if you're a photographer, you're a creative entrepreneur, it's not a factory. It's not a formula that you will put in a bottle and keep advertising. And make it secret and people will keep buying. You have to keep creating new ideas, new products. So this question, sometimes you need to investigate what has come in the past, how people have been able to adapt. Okay, I remember when it was the exclusive knowledge of just a photographer of how to make a photograph. It was almost like a cult. The photographer knew the chemistry of the photography. He used his strange machine to capture light and goes into a dark room and makes incantations and comes out with your image. And if you send your son to go and learn that trade, he will be sweeping the studio for that photographer for about 10 years before they would let him into the dark room, into the final secrets of how to make a photograph. It used to be like that until the QSS machine came and the SLR came and the 35mm film came, and amateurs who could care less about the process of film development would get a 36 frames roll and enter market and start making money. Those studios closed down in the villages, and they had high-end cameras which people like us started buying from Aroloya. People were coming from Japan to buy high-end, medium format cameras from Aroloya. Why? Because those studios closed. They could not understand why any idiot would just take a camera and go and process film, color. They were doing black and white. I don't know if you understand. While they were still thinking about that, the digital era came in. The film people lost their job. The QSS people had to close down. I know it's a couple of labs that closed down. A lot of photographers also couldn't stand it. They're like, I'm done. I'm a film person, I'm done. I don't know if you understand. We started learning Adobe Photoshop. That became the new dark room. All the terms in Adobe Photoshop are terms in the dark room. At first. The same terms for photographers. Dodging, burning, all those kind of things. So what the import of this is that at each time, things change. A lot of people will drop by the wayside. If they don't change. Somebody told me about the guys who take pictures at the beginning of an event and you wait for it to come out and collect prints. They've lost their job to the phone.
Of course, yes.
Because those people are getting instant digital images that they are sharing immediately. So they need to go and buy the print. And now they'll keep it and I have to scan it to send to their friends. But the phone is already making a better picture. Because the algorithm and the machine inside the phone is already doing Photoshop on the face and sending it out. I don't know if you understand. So you cannot stop people from losing their jobs if they don't want to innovate. So if you want to stay in one place, be rest assured that poverty is knocking at the door. Be rest assured. You have to constantly think about where things are going or how you can mutate.
Yeah.
So the thing is that the photographer must find joy in being a student all through their career.
Yeah. I like, and it's interesting, the people that left film, we're now also going back to film as well. A lot of us have Polaroid cameras. We want to, fan our films, and now it's not aesthetics.
Yeah.
So those people would have been still relevant if they, if they found a way to, to innovate, to
At some point, we always go back and try to reminisce.
Yes.
People go back, get vintage.
Stage, exactly.
Furniture. People go back, get vintage sets. You understand? Everybody's always trying to. If you make sure you're trying to, what was it called? People like to keep historical facts. You understand? People like to remember. That's what art is. Art takes us back. Art writes. People always need to go back. People always need to know the story. And this is the story. This is the journey. And if you're there to keep, the story intact for everybody, then you're going to become the museum. So you have to think about how you're going to go about this. If not, you just drop
Okay. I think my final question would be this: what are the most underrated categories or genres of photography that people can focus on and build a reputation from? The most underrated to you? It might not be yours, but the most underrated.
Underrated. Underrated meaning that it's important, but we are not taking note of it. I don't know. People, we are all. I think. It's still. I think it's still documentary. It's still keeping historical facts, capturing the present, and locking it down. Stories are going to change over time. People are going to look at answers, look at how they're changing right in front of our faces. Just that things are not going to last forever. But if we try and actually make efforts to actually keep these artifacts, keep historical facts by shooting, by telling stories, by typing it out, cataloging it, just that for generations to come, they are going to actually get the real stories. You understand? Till tomorrow, I'm sorry to anyone who's Christian, the Bible is still going to be debated. But imagine we had film. No, think about it.
Somebody recorded it, right?
Imagine somebody recorded it. But it will be less. You understand? It will be less, what's called debated. And that's just really what's important. We are going to keep. We're going to continually document our lives because we are also really vain people. You understand? Humans are vain. They are going to, document their life. That's for sure. Do you understand? But there's always something bigger than us. There are always stories bigger than us. There's always things that generations to come need to know. In order not to repeat certain facts, in order to learn from, in order to just to have general knowledge about. And if we are documenting these stories, if we are putting them in art form, if we are keeping them and being really, really what's called intentional about every bit of it, then it will be better for people to come. When we go,
I think what comes to mind is architectural photography. I think it's it's so
terrible. We have lost architecture. Nigeria doesn't have it.
It's something and their new house is springing up every day, and there are old relics that are going. So I have a couple of friends I know that are into it. It's something. Anytime I see them, I always like, oh, dude, I hope you're taking this picture. So it's valuable now because new developers, they want people to take pictures they can sell. Then for old relics too, there's a future of maybe exhibiting or creating books for it. So it's underrated.
The thing is, there are some parts of photography that are like very loud, and everybody seems to be sure that they'll make a good living once they go into like wedding photography. At the point, almost everybody was a wedding photographer in Lagos when I started photography. Everybody was shooting because it was that point at which every individual knew they had to make a budget for a photographer, you know. But I found that photography had so many facets. You know, early in my career, I was used to say, okay, let me look at, you know, they say, oh, Kelechi, you need to find a niche, you know, where you can shine your light and take it over, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, who is the most amazing fashion photographer of all time in Nigeria? You know, like in those cartoons, they would now amplify the sound of crickets. That's the sound of silence, you know, at that point. So at the time I was thinking this, there were no fashion magazines. So what will you be doing? Shooting fashion. If you get what I mean. Okay, I say, okay, good. Who is the ultimate architectural photographer? I didn't know any name. So there were so many areas that were sort of even landscape photography. You know, I mean, I don't know of anybody particularly who will say, oh, this guy, this is his thing, he's been doing it for 20 years, you know, and all that. So I think each of those places, we need to find ways to educate our people to understand the relevance of those areas. The reportage photography is being patronized internationally. So the top press photographers we have are working for Reuters, they're working for AP and all this. And they're going to be telling stories that Reuters is interested in paying for. If they want, they then have to by themselves decide to tell their own story and find ways to let the world see. Otherwise, it's going to be the narrative from abroad, whatever that they want. You know, I used to do a lot of exhibitions outside the country early in my career. You know, I noticed that the curators would always gravitate towards the more gritty images of Africa, you know, and I became suspicious. And I said, you know what, I'm done with all this grit, you know, I just want to shoot beautiful things, you know. But what I'm looking at is, if down here, like you said, the real estate people are beginning to pay for good photographs of real estate, then it will rise because there is a market for it. And these things will happen organically. You know, I don't know about crime photographers, you know, like who go and shoot forensics. I've not met anybody here that does that. But it's a thing. Our police needs to go. That's it. Even macro photography. I haven't seen too much of it. I've been seeing baby photographers rising. It's community. The community is rising. So there are so many different areas, but it's a function of our society. And you know how sophisticated society gets in certain areas. That will determine whether people can make a living. Because people are not making a living out of it. It's not sustainable.
That's the point I just wanted to make, because right now the society is first catering to hunger. Hunger is immediate need. You can see all these things happening abroad because they have transcended the basic needs. Do you understand? They have transcended all that, and now they are looking for more challenges. They are looking for, do you understand? They are looking to keep their stories. They are looking to, if you check the problem of the third world countries compared to the first, it's different. Do you understand? So until people, it will still remain a few people that hold importance to these important facts. But until our society basically grows and transcends, that's when more people will leave the basic hunger and now start looking for what's more important. You understand? Like, I as a person, I can now say, oh, I'm trying to do something more sophisticated. I'm trying to, you understand? Someone that has more funding can take a hobby as a landscape photographer. And so this is important to me because he has passed the basic need. I cannot realistically tell someone starting that, oh, you need to go and do this one. You understand? But it's still important no matter what. And I hope that we as a society grow, and I hope that a lot of people also take this type of things seriously and as community.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm just going to open up the floor for any questions. Do you have any questions from any?
The question is, do you think that your early days shaped your craft? Right, because you've had I think probably in this room, you've had the longest history of being a photographer. Do you think it kind of shaped your craft in some sort of way? Like when you pick up a DSLR, do you think like in a way how you used to take a picture then? I don't know, but
Oh, absolutely. Apart from the machine itself, which is the camera, there is also the man. There is, they call it the photographic eye. And seeing is seen with the mind, not just with your eyes. And it is the interpretation of what you see that then manifests through your imagery. Okay? And that interpretation is a function of who you are, your experiences, the books you've read, what you've seen, what you've heard. And that is always going to be a part of, the backdrop. I was a painter, you understand, and I still paint, So when I pick up the camera, I see color in a completely different way. You understand? Sometimes people say, Kelechi, there's a way you use color. And when I go back to some books I've read, study, impressionist movement, read about Monet, Degas, and all these people, studied it profusely. So it's in my subconscious, even when I'm not consciously trying to do things. So it's a good question, but yes, absolutely, And the way I learned how to use the camera, where you're shooting and you have to go and process the film before you know whether you made a mistake or not. And several times you see it was holding our head. I say, Jesus, I'm finished. The whole roll, nothing came out. Those kind of things. That also made us a lot more careful. Made us also be able to sort of pre-visualize what we want to shoot, because it was important for your survival to do that, to understand that, at f11 at a speed of 1/20th of a second or whatever, this is going to happen with this kind of lens. You understand? But these days you just take the picture. And sometimes we even connect it to a big screen. So I shoot it while looking at the screen, say, correct. You understand? So it shapes our habits, it shapes our, so it's not just the technicalities, but it is the person that shows through. Yeah.
I know photography is like art, and there's a thing that comes to doing art repeatedly over a period of time that anytime you pick a project, it's almost as if you have a template now. Well, I've done this before, so I just have to put the lights this way, and I will get the results. But art also evolves. You want to try and do some things differently. So my question would be, how do you, when you get a project here, how do you move away from, I already know how to do this thing, we don't do it before. Now, basics, just let's approach it the same way. How do you move away from that? Because, I'm at the point in my career where, I'm like, it's becoming a template.
You came late. Because we already spoke on this. Yeah, so basically that's your body kicking you and telling you need to change. That's the time to move. So now is the time to move. Now is the time to look inward. Now is the time to look outward. Now is the time to tweak. I think you have to grab from your style right now, add other things, and find a new place, because if not, someone is going to. You understand? So that's where it is right now, and you need to either you're lucky enough to find a client that gives you the freedom enough to use their own money and do it how you like, or you find a test project, and start. But you have to start somewhere. You have to try different things and see the result, or start putting test clips out there, whatever it is, and you start seeing people say, I like this that you did, I like this that you did, and you start seeing people being interested in your new direction. Do you understand? So you always find it. So yeah, it's time to move.
What I think, to add to what he said, what I think is you need to start setting up yourself to fail more, because The truth is, like, I know him as my friend, big guy. He's an amazing director, as I said. But when you do something so much, it gets, like you mentioned, repetitive. Like you can't even see outside it. So you need to set up yourself to film more. So what I would do is, if it's photography, maybe shoot with a different lens. What I had to do recently was to buy. I have an old camera. I bought a manual lens just to push myself, just to make my dopamine pump again, to get that adrenaline flowing again. Yeah. So just set up yourself for failure, and the more you do it, like you literally speak new things from there that you add to what you already have, and you bring out something not necessarily new, but something new to you, and people will connect with it. Yeah.
This thing he's saying is the ultimate secret. The ultimate secret to creativity is to aim for failure. People run away from it. But so I always do that. I set myself up. But it's good to fail at your own project. Exactly. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it with a client. But you can do it with a client if you've gotten to a certain level. Like sometimes I do it. Yeah. The client say, "How are you going to shoot it?" I say, "I don't know." Yeah. I say, but do you trust me? Exactly. It's okay, good. Yeah. Now see what will happen now. Yeah. I don't know if you understand. Yeah. Period.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kelechi, Annie, and Bernard. It was a beautiful conversation. I'm sure we all had fun. So takeouts for us, for me, is prepare to fail. And then it's about the gadgets, it's also not about the gadgets. Build a community of creatives, creators, and even clients that can push you. There are those clients that you work with for the rest of your life. The person that has been shooting my daddy has been shooting him since I was a kid. So there are all those people that you can build a community around. And I think lastly is try new things.
So I forgot to speak about this bit, and is the human bit. I'm going to tell you one thing. One thing that rises above skill, rises above you being the best of the best, is you making how your client, what the other person feels, that connection between you. Somebody is going to stay with kelechi or whatever it is, no matter how great another person is, because of relationship. Yeah. So there's one thing we always forget as creatives. Sometimes our ego erupts, and you do forget that as far as you're the person with the ability and talent to do these things, if you're going to feed from it, other people need to connect to you and say, "You do this for me," and they always come back because of how you make them feel. They always come back of how. So it's a combination of as far as you're making them feel great, and as far as you're delivering, it's always a success. What's called recipe for success. So you have to always connect properly with the client. If you don't, you're going to see yourself having a series of one-offs. They never come back. Yeah. They never come back. You might not even do really anything to them, but they don't really feel you as a exactly. You don't feel you as a person, So it's something. It's bigger. I'm going to tell you, it's bigger than your talent most times. It's bigger than your talent. I have people that obviously I'm more talented, and if I see their works and I'm like, sure, but why is this person doing better than me? There is a secret, because they can go out there and connect with more people than I can. Do you understand? And this gives them a success rate, because people will always go to people that make them feel good. They are not going to go out with someone that makes them feel shit. No, they are going to connect. Oh, this is my guy. And also the thing about you being the first, I have a shitty memory, and it's only the first person that pops up in my head when somebody says, "Oh, do you know so and so?" There has to be that light bulb that connects. your work and I remember, because there are plenty of people that do this. Do you understand? So out of the ton of, let's say, like photographers, we do have a lot of makeup artist people that we do know.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I have a lot of makeup artists, and when the makeup artists, maybe one of the makeup artists come and say, "Annie, you've forgotten him," I'm like, "Oh, I've actually forgotten him." Do you understand? But you have to find a way to stand out, and create a light bulb in that person's head that they always remember you by the time. Oh, yeah, I know this person, and it's always the first referral that I will take it. There's no second one. So yeah, that bit needs to be.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I just want to emphasize one question or ask one question before we round up, and it's the yearning for how this started. It's about a lot of collaboration as well. So I want you maybe to share some insights with, through your growth, you've talked about things that have made you excel personally. But at there times, and especially when you were speaking to DT as well about how you can switch up your craft, is there a part there where, let me connect with this other person, maybe we can do something together? Is there a group of people I can work with? Where's the part of like networking, collaboration, collaborative projects there? And if you've done any, what insights can you share with us?
Okay. I think collabs are one of those biggest bonds in a creative life. You need, if you're with the best teams of creatives, you always create, like photography as a whole, it's always a collaborative effort. It is never, I always tell, if it's with my clients I'm working with, I'm telling them, of course they are coming to me to make an A1 photo. But when I'm talking to them, I'm like, I'm going to do my bit, but you need to do your bit in the posing. You need to do your bit in raising the mood. You understand? You need to bring life in it, because as much as I can ginger, as much as I can, you need feedback. And if that's not, so it's a collaborative effort from clients, from stylists, from makeup. There is nothing about photography that isn't collaborative. Do you understand? There's nothing. An artist, even an artist, they will paint from what they have seen. But it's not physical. But with photography, it's physical. This person is bringing this person is bringing this, bringing into this, and you're making a whole. So I think it's something that we need to, as creative, we need to hold there. We are not one man ship. We are not. You need to make sure that you're carrying people along. You need to also make sure that you're paying people along. There are a lot of creatives that are as good as politicians now. I'm hearing terrible things about them. Trying to they are creatives. I'm not going to lie. They are really good creatives that are supposed to have be big. But one thing, no matter how much money you eat out of the projects, they'll give you money for this because it always comes from the head, and you're trying to subtract from people that are supposed to, add to the project. Do you understand? It's one of the terrible things also. But if everybody is happy, everybody's going to bring. One thing about creatives, we already want to do this. Then giving us the money is just bonus. Do you understand? So if everybody's going to bring, their best game to this. Do you understand? And everybody's going to grow. So that's one of the things that we need to,
like you said, energies matter. Like when you're working with people, like it's exchange of energy, so it helps. And something else, a lot of people talk about mentorship. They're always looking for, those people that stand out. I want him to mentor me. But one of the strongest form of mentorship is peer mentorship.
Yeah.
So make sure you have, like, it's what helped me big time. Because I had friends, like, I had Dami, like, there were many of us that were just friends. You get, so it's easy to boss your guy. I mean, you might call kelechi and he might be busy, and it's okay. You get, so, but when you call your guy will return your call because dude, what's up? So it's important. Peer mentorship is something you have.
Let me talk a little bit about this. My career as a photographer started from being a member of Depth of Field, DOF. So I actually started in a group of photographers. I got invited alongside Uche, T.Y. Bello, went to Bamako, Mali for an exhibition. And I said, this photography exhibition thing is awesome. I'd like to do more of it. So me and Duche said, let's start a group. You know, we've been reading about Magnum. You know about Magnum?
Yeah.
So let's start our own group. We call it Depth of Field. Yeah. So we called TY. TY said, hey, yeah, that sounds awesome. I said, yeah, beautiful girl. We are going to be great. Then we called amadi-obi. So 4 of us started Depth of Field. And what do we do? Every Friday, we go to somebody's house. You drop your brains on the floor. And we say, constructive criticism only.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't an easy thing. That was how we developed. So they will start tearing your work apart. Like, Kelechi, so what were you thinking when you shot? Anything composition would be like this or like that. And it's amazing, you know. And depending on our individual temperaments, you know, sometimes argument will ensue. Are you okay? So shut up. I don't want your opinion. Anyway, but you know what ended up happening with Depth of Field? We became a phenomenon.
Yeah.
We started exhibiting all over the world. And from there, our different careers sort of really took off when we decided to become more commercial with our work. So that will accelerate your journey. Absolutely. It's the same thing you would get if you were in photography school, your classmates.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Please. Conversation.